OM System has plans to announce a successor to the OM-5 Mark III. It's coming this summer, details coming up, but first I encourage you to subscribe and choose all notifications so you're kept informed on the latest camera gear, news, and rumors. The OM-5 Mark III has a 20 megapixel 4/3 sensor, a 50 megapixel high resolution shoot mode, and is capable of up to 10 frames per second continuous shooting. It can do DCI 4K video at 24, 25, and 30 frames per second in a weather-sealed body, and was released in November 2019 for $1199.99. We're seeing an awful lot of cameras that were released back in 2018 and 2019 being refreshed. It started in 2021 and it's continuing over here into 2022. So it shouldn't be any surprise when 4/3 Rumors tells us that the OM-5 Mark III by Olympus is being, well, replaced by the OM-5, and that's supposed to happen this summer in June or July. And I know it's already June, so we could get an announcement this month or maybe into July. However, the OM-5 Mark III isn't going to be discontinued. It's going to go on sale alongside the OM-5, that according to 4/3 Rumors. Little is known about the specifications that we're going to find in the OM-5. In fact, we don't know any specifications other than what 4/3 is telling us it doesn't have, and that it's not going to have the same stack sensor found in the OM1. So without any specifications, what can we expect out of the OM-5? Should we look to the OM-5 Mark III? Well, what I suggest is we take a look again at the specifications for the OM1 and then dial those back just a little bit. So what were the specifications for the OM1? Do you remember back to February when this camera was announced? It came with a 20 megapixel micro 4/3 sensor and it was stacked. It also came with quad pixel autofocus, the first camera to come with quad pixel autofocus. And in terms of continuous shooting, 50 frames per second. It could go up to a staggering 120 frames per second, but autofocus and auto exposure were locked. It came with a new and improved autofocus system with better improved subject tracking with 1053 autofocus points, and of course it came with an improved image stabilization system. Video-wise, it had some pretty good specifications, although it was overshadowed by the Panasonic GH6, which is a video-centric camera. The OM1 could produce 4K at 24, 25, 30, 50, and 60 frames per second. It could also output 8-bit and 10-bit video and produce up to 240 frames per second in 1080. And of course, it had dual UHS 2 card slots along with IP53 ingress protection, so that's your weather sealing, dust and water protection. I think that the OM5 is going to give us 4K, 24, 25, and 30, but it might not give us DCI, it might just give us UHD. And in terms of 1080, I do expect 120 frames per second. Now, if this camera does come in around the same price point as before, $1199, but I doubt that. I really expect it's going to go to around $12 or $13.99. And then at that price point, I really do expect 10-bit, 422, some sort of log footage, because you're really pushing up into that price range where that's kind of expected. At $1199, no, not you really wouldn't expect log footage, and 10-bit 422 isn't, universal. But as you start to push up to closer to around $1,500, those are some specifications I'd expect. In terms of frame rates, well, it's not going to push the same sort of frame rates that we're seeing with the OM1. I don't expect that it's going to give us dual SD card slots, although it very well may. And that's the point at this. We don't know a lot. We just have a rumor about a camera that's supposed to be coming out, the OM5. We have a completely new company. Japanese Industrial Partners bought the camera division from Olympus, and they're now called OM System. So in terms of what they're going to do with this camera, are they going to pull a Canon where they're going to say, okay, some of these features that we had in the OM5 Mark III, we're not going to include those in the OM5. In fact, it's going to be a little bit worse off in some capabilities, but better in others. And we saw that with Canon with the EOS R. When we saw the EOS R6, there were some capabilities in terms of viewfinder, in terms of LCD, and some other capabilities that the EOS R was better at than the R6. But clearly the R6 is a much better camera with that Digic X processor, faster frame rates, and all that sort of stuff. But the EOS R had a 30 megapixel sensor, the EOS R6 a 20 megapixel sensor. So at this point, have a coffee, have a cup of tea, sit back, relax, rant about what you think this camera is going to do, rant whether you think it's relevant or not. Let me know what you thought about the OM1, and do you think the OM5 is going to impress that much at all? Either way, I'm kind of excited to see what this camera can do. I really do. I was hoping that the OM1 had slightly better video specifications. The rumored specs for that camera were actually far better than what we ended up getting, and the GH6 was a much better micro four thirds camera when it came to video. But on the still side, the OM1 was a far better camera than the GH6, and I expect to see the same sort of focus on stills capabilities, a go anywhere, all environment type camera in the OM5. If you want to know the latest news and rumors on the OM5 or what Canon's got planned this fall, a replacement for the EOS R or the EOS RP, or what Sony's got planned with the A7R5 and the A9 Mark III and all those other cameras we're expected to get this fall, or lenses, go ahead and subscribe, but make sure you choose all notifications. By choosing all notifications, as soon as I publish a video, you're going to get notified, so you get to stay up to date on the latest camera news and rumors. Thank you so much for watching. We'll see you again soon.